Hello? Alright. Starting a little bit later than I originally planned on starting. But hello and welcome to part 3 of the Sekiro Lorethrough. Today we are going to be exploring and taking a deeper look at Senpo Temple and the overall Mount Kongo area. I'm very excited for this episode, just due to the fact that it's got... Oh. Alright, I forgot that happens. This part of the game is one of my favorite areas due to the fact that there is just quite a bit of lore. You do learn quite a bit about kind of the behind the scenes, I guess you could say. But we will get into all of that as we come across it. So, as we initially exit our smaller building, we can see the kind of teasings of the actual temple at the top of the mountain there. We can see the path and how just detrimental of a climb it would be to get all the way to the top. So over here we have an item hidden behind the corner, which is a gaijin sugar. It reads, "The High Senpu priest gave this candy to a band of short but adept assassins. Suppresses sound and presence for a time, making the user harder to detect. Bite the candy and take the gaijin stance to impart its inhuman benediction. The assassins do Senpu's dirty work. Once hired guards, now extensions of the monk's will in their quest for undeath." Now we will touch a little bit more on that once we get to a certain area of the game, this part of the game. Once we progress through, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. If we hop down this direction and go behind the temple, we can also loot some scrap iron. And we also have an NPC.
くるくる回る赤白いお花、たった一輪真っ白いお花、真っ白いお花が見当たらない。
なんだと。
頭が痛え。すまねえ。あんた何を言っているのかオラにも訳がわからねえんだ。とにかく真っ白いお花を探さなきゃ。
So, he speaks of spinning red and white flowers, as well as a pure white flower that he needs to find. So we will keep that in mind as we progress through the temple grounds. Now this monk I want to approach because he is all on his lonesome and he is going to give us some insight into what's going on. Now, you may notice he is chanting. And it was quite common as a way of reaching enlightenment to essentially take a pose and just repeating a phrase over and over and over again and dying while repeating this mantra. Now, this is of course a lot more to it. This is a very simplified explanation, but we will also talk about that a little bit more once we progress to the next area. So we're gonna take this guy out. And then we're going to progress up the hill a little bit here. Of course, this is the actual Senpo temple. So there are Senpo monks everywhere. You'll actually hear this one is also repeating a similar mantra over and over again. So it's not just exclusive to that one, they're kind of all mimicking a similar behavior. And this one up here with the staff's a little bit different. Slightly different dress on him. He's also doing a slightly different mantra. So kind of hard to hear it, but he's got a slightly different voice to him. Now, if you check out his legs, he's got a marking or something on his ankle. And if you look on his head, he's actually, it looks like he's rotting away. He's actually decaying. And that will become a little bit more prevalent again as we get deeper into the temple. Now you can hear all these monks are actually engaging in a new mantra as well. And this is when we're gonna start to learn some of the deeper secrets of the temple. Over here underneath this tree we can find several corpses of people with their hands and feet bound, their skin blackened, very basic clothing. If we come over here to this corner over here, we'll find some spirit emblems indicating people have died here. We're gonna wait and just observe these monks momentarily. Okay, it's our time to go. Now, as soon as we land up here, we are greeted immediately by these extremely large crickets, or cricket-like insects. We're also given an image of a few different warriors from various legends. The one in the middle here being Gokhan, I believe. Oh, I passed them. Let's just take a look here. Yes, Gokhan is the multi-headed one. I believe that's who this is representing here in the middle. Now, these crickets initially won't make a lot of sense and might perplex you when you first enter the temple. Now, they are not here to distract you, as loud and annoying as they are. They do actually serve a purpose. And it's quite nefarious. Now, without alerting the next group of enemies, you can see two monks praying to what appears to be a third monk. However, their clothing is quite tattered and desiccated. There's 3 monks, actually. My bad, not 2. So, I have a little trick for these guys. in order to deal with them quickly, we are going to stab the one on the left, or in the middle, my apologies. And then we'll use our blood smoke ninjutsu. Alright. Yeah, it seems that us being loud has alerted the larger guard who is in behind. Now, this man was most likely in the same detachment as Kotaro, the man we spoke to at the beginning of the temple. Now, that is kind of a trick that I did there. And essentially what I did was I spirited him away using the golden vortex. The second half of its last paragraph reads, can be performed twice in a row. Enemies that have been turned around drop items or money to be considered donations. However, with the divine abduction, it reads, forcing enemies is a milestone of being spirited away that can be returned from quite quickly. However, it is said that one can only return from being spirited away once, and if taken again, there is no coming back. So you can use this on the Senpo monks, indicating that they've already used this to teleport here once before, essentially. Now coming over to this corner, we have two items. We have a Gokon sugar, kind of signifying and cementing what I said earlier, and we have a ceramic shard, which isn't necessarily the most important item in the world. But if we approach this person and pull out our monocular here, of course we can't get a very good look. Now you'll see red and black objects writhing around this person's legs and whatever is underneath them here. Ooh. Here we go. Now, I'm being attacked by the crickets. Now, I was puked on by the monk. The monks of Senpo Temple are infested with centipedes. And if we pull out our monocular again, we can actually see them writhing around on the ground. And the crickets do actually go after pools of centipedes on the ground. Which essentially means that the crickets don't actually want to attack us, they're actually after the centipedes. So these crickets are trying to eat centipedes, which I find is extremely interesting, essentially. Now, what happens if we attempt to kill this monk? Alright, now as you can see, he resurrects. Indicating that, much like Hanabe at the dilapidated temple, he is infested and therefore undying. It's a little difficult to see, but they are sitting on a pile of centipedes. There. Deal with those. I'm trying to show you off here. Anyway, there we go. There we go. Yeah, they sit on a pile of centipedes. And as we know, the centipedes are coming out of them. And at first this confused me, because I didn't understand why they were sitting on them. I almost thought it was their entrails at first. However, to an extent, I believe it is. And this is related to the fact, or the belief of the Shirikodama. Now, this is a Japanese belief that there is a organ or a ball, essentially, that is located at the end of your intestinal tract. And if you're familiar with the legend of the Kappa, then you will probably already know what I'm talking about. But another enemy also deals with this legend as well. But essentially, I think this has to do with the symbology of the monks losing their souls and humanity to this infestation. So that's why they're sitting on these centipedes. Now we cannot do anything else with him for now, so we are going to leave this monk as he is. And we are going to pick up this item, which is a divine grass. Now this is very interesting, as it states, one small part of Ashina is exceedingly old. The ancient soil, rocks, and water that pervaded the land are said to have attracted the attention of the gods. The doctor Dojin studied the plants in this ancient place, resulting in the recipe for this special medicine. Now, Dojin is important because he is heavily involved with the research of the rejuvenating waters. Now here we pick up a Mibu balloon of spirit. This is an important item. It's actually very, very good placement by From Software to have it here. As its description reads, if one pops this black and white balloon and prays, those its water splashes upon will have a higher chance of obtaining spirit emblems for a period of time. This balloon expresses mourning for the dearly departed. Red and white pinwheels are offered in fond remembrance. Now if we turn around and come up to this tree here, we'll notice tiny little statues along the tree, and in front of it we have tiny little pinwheels blowing in the wind. By reading the description in the Jesus statue, we learn that these statues or reliefs at the bottom of the tree are in fact to represent the spirits of children. As it reads, to unswath a Jesus statue is to express feelings of parental love. The bundle of cloth is to at least ensure that the little one goes on in peace. Now these statues aren't completely enswathed, but they do have a piece of red cloth draped around them, as well as the pinwheels for remembrance. Now, we will talk to this woman, but we are not doing her questline in this playthrough. If you would like to see her questline, please check out my blind Lorethrough. In that Lorethrough, I do the homecoming ending, in which she's more involved, but we will talk to her to get her dialogue.
蛇ガキはの2つあるぞい。1つは生ガキ、1つは干しガキ。あっちじゃ。生ガキはあっちじゃ。駆け越えて穴くぐり。生ガキもいでくれよさ。
生ガキ、どういうことだ。
困りごとかい。しからばお米じゃぞい。お米じゃ。困りごとあるならばお米を恵んでくだされよ。お米はないかな。おちの巫女様のお米じゃぞえ。
Now we will learn about the divine children a little bit more, sprinkled throughout the progression of this area, but the area she was pointing to does actually contain snake skin hanging from the tree here. The fruits she's referring to are actually the hearts of the serpent. I thought there was a statue here, but it doesn't look like there is. Oh, glitching out on this tree. There we go. This is the first time we really get to see the shinobi hunters of the temple and what they look like now. They've changed quite significantly from the original attack on Senpo, or the Harada estate, I should say. You'll remember there was a shinobi hunter there in their last episode. Now, something I haven't really seen anybody else really talk about or address is the fact that these mercenaries are found at Senpo Temple. These are the same mercenaries that you can find at the Harada Estate in the Memory Bell Charm. So my question is, are these mercenaries also hired by Senpo Temple? Or are these mercenaries part of Senpo Temple, and they also attacked the Harada Estate? Now, something to essentially keep in mind is From Software does not really place things by chance. Everything is quite thought out for the most part. Assets are not just haphazardly placed. They don't just copy and paste enemy mobs for the most part. Opinions aside on their other works, but I would say when it comes to Dark Souls, Sekiro, Bloodborne, and Demon Souls, the enemies are all placed with intention, and not just to fill the space, so to speak. Now over here, we find more deceased bodies hiding underneath a tree, and we also find even more corpses hidden around behind the back of this temple. Now we also have a monk who theoretically could be praying for the people who have died here. We're gonna leave him to be praying, and we're just gonna loot this item, which is an Kongo sugar. Temporarily reduces vitality damage taken from physical attacks. Bite the candy and take the Kongo stance to impart its inhuman benediction. By doing so, you endure the excess karma of man and from spirits within. Senpo monks spread this candy across Ashina in honor of her military heroes. Now once we fight a particular enemy later on, once we return to Ashina Castle and the outskirts, we will talk more about who those fallen heroes are. Over here we find yet another fallen corpse. As you can see, these corpses really are everywhere. Now here we're gonna do a Gaijin Spirit Fall. I also apologize if you can hear my air freshener in the background ever so often. It does click, and it's quite loud when it sprays. Oh. It's not what I wanted to do there. Alright, we'll take a sugar. I'll try this again. There we go. Oops. And oh, a Gaijin sugar, what do you know? It's almost like they knew I was gonna use one on them. Now, this bridge has been destroyed, indicating to me to some extent that, and we can even see there's some sort of fire here from the smoke, but I believe this was done on purpose by the monks to defend At least that was my initial thought. But now I believe, from playing the game more and just from the overall location of the area, I believe that the Great Serpent actually destroyed this bridge. And actually, I wonder if you can see it from here. There's an area where you can actually see more of its shedded skin. But might not be able to see it from this location. That's okay though, we'll continue on and we will get to the next sculptor stone. Now, this is a really cool little I guess you could call it an Easter egg to the real world. Shugendo. Essentially, Shugendo is the way of a Shugen, and it is a religion in Japan, where the final purpose of Shugendo for practitioners is to find supernatural power and to save themselves and the masses by conducting religious training while treading through steep mountain ranges. Or so Wikipedia says. Now, from what I've come to learn, one of the things that is practiced within this belief is mummification. And they do this or essentially what it is called is, and I'm going to probably do this completely wrong, Sokushinbutsu, where they essentially enter a mummified state while repeating a mantra. And if you would like to look it up, there is a lot of articles online to explain more about that, but it's quite fitting for the area and for the monks here for what they are doing. And especially how I mentioned earlier that the monks are constantly singing a mantra. Now if we come over this direction, we can actually find another member of the memorial mob, surrounded by pinwheels and the statues, which again solidifies not only the dead bodies we've seen, but all of the children and Jesus statues we've seen.
いかがかね。こんなところにも死者もあるところ、また供養しあり。仏を忘れば、また弔いもなきゆえにな。さあ、ご供養していきなされ。
So we are going to buy some of the items he sells, because he sells a dragon's droplet, and we're going to buy both of his persimmons for a particular NPC that we speak to at the end of this area.
死者があるだから、また供養しあり。いずこへ行こうと、ご供養を 欠かさぬようにの。
So it starts to make more sense what Kotaro was speaking about when we first encountered him. How everyone left and wasn't around anymore, and he couldn't find any of the flowers. Well, all of those flowers are representative of the children that were abducted and brought to Senbo Temple. These statues, we will receive confirmation later on, but these are also tombstones. And we pick up a balloon of spirit again, which reads, if one pops his black and white balloon in praise, those its water splashes upon will have a higher chance of obtaining spirit emblems for a period of time. This balloon expresses mourning for the dearly departed. Red and white pinwheels are offered in fond remembrance. And we can see that it was placed at the bottom of some tombstones, indicating that, again, reinforcing the fact these are tombstones. Now there are a lot of Senpo assassins in this area. But as we know, whoops, from the, that's what I'm looking for. Oh yeah, from the spirit emblem skills we can acquire. That spirit emblems are from the souls of people who have passed on. And are a form of the karma taken on by those who have taken lives. So lots of spirit emblems in this area. Now if we come up on this ledge here, we can actually see there's a person standing in wait in the window. Now his dialogue is quite important, so I'm going to be rather quiet until we actually defeat this character. Before we do, we're going to come over here to this location. And there is just an obscene amount of memorials to children here, as well as the pinwheels themselves. At the foot of the tree, we find the red and white pinwheel. A small paper pinwheel made of red and white paper, found halfway up Mount Kongo. The red and white pinwheels simply spin round and round. Everyone is right here. This is yet another callback to Kotaro. And we'll grab it after. But if we look over here, we can see it appears to be a bell up on the cliffside here. Kind of tucked away in its own little area. Now we will return to this location after we cross the bridge. Oh! He knocked me off the ledge. How rude. After our initial attack there, we learned that we cannot pierce his armor. And we're gonna have to resort to something a little different. Now, there's a particular NPC that we're gonna go visit in a moment. And we will be momentarily leaving Mount Kongo to do so. Before we do that, we will go and see what that bell is doing up on the cliff. Returning to the cliff with all of the Jesus statues and the pinwheels. If we gaze off the cliff side, we will see an area where we can grab on so if we perform a leap of faith and hold the button, we can miss the ledge. Very good. Probably my most impressive jump I've ever done. Alright. Perform a leap of faith. Oh, I miss again, man. Alright. Third time's the try. Third time's the charm. Oh, again. Here I am trying to be all cool and show off a little trick. And the game is just like, no. There we go. Not quite where I was trying to grab onto. But my point remains. If we pull ourselves up and come up this cliffside here, we'll find an area where we can wall vault up. Awkward. There we go. Now, there is also an item located here. Which appears to be a pure white pinwheel. White pinwheel. A small pinwheel made of white paper, found below a cliff of Mount Kongo. Perhaps it was carried there by the wind. It is simply a single, pure white pinwheel. Only the child is right here. Next, we're going to climb up this direction here. And after dealing with a gecko, we'll find a little staircase to bring us up the side of the mountain. We can definitely hear something on the other side of the wall. And we're going to crouch. I thought we could sneak around, that's my bad. If we come in here and look. We don't see any enemies, but if we look on the roof, we can see something hanging from the ceiling. We've also picked up some unique sake. Monkey booze. Alcohol created by dew pooled in a hollow tree. Fruits hidden by monkeys in tree hollows can sometimes ferment and turn into sake with a bit of luck. While it's known for its brutally harsh flavor, some find this acquired taste irresistible. And now we're gonna open up the door. Which you'll notice is very interesting. It is actually sealed from the outside. That did a lot of damage. The locks generally are locked from the inside of the door, not the outside of the door. Indicating that whatever's on the other side of this location more than likely is meant to be sealed away. Now if we rest here, we will discover that this area is known as the Bell Demon's Temple. By inspecting the bell, it reads, "Do not ring this bell. Inviting misfortune is an act of virtue, but only the stoutest of heart should even consider it." Which now gives us the option to ring the bell, which we will do for the lore. Sinister burden. The Bell Demon, a demonic spirit sealed within the iron bell of Senpo Temple. possesses those who ring the bell, strengthening enemies around them. The bell demon confers hardship, but perhaps also slightly better spoils. Using this item has no particular effect, aside from causing the demon to leave. Now, we aren't trying to make the game more difficult for us, so we are going to use the item as well to show off what that looks like. Burden dispelled. Alright. Next, we are going to go and visit a particular memorial mob. And we will speak with him because his inventory has something of interest for us in our current pursuit. So if we run over here, past where we fought Gyobu in our first episode, there's a merchant just at the top of the stairway here. In his inventory, he sells an item called Robert's Firecrackers. Makes a deafening sound, frightening to animals. Sold by little Robert and his father to raise funds for their travels. Their voyage brought them to Japan, where they would seek the Undying in an attempt to extend Robert's life. So, either Robert was sick, or maybe his father simply wanted his son to live forever, but they came here to specifically seek the Undying and the Senpo Temple. And based on the flowers that we found, as well as all the Jesus statues and the other evidence, it would seem more than likely that Robert unfortunately has already succumbed to the Senpu Temple experiments. However, his father is quite unaware of that. Now, we're back just on the other side of the bridge from fighting Robert's father, the armored warrior. And if we take a little peek down, we are almost at the temple, but we also have a new type of monk. So let's get a better look at those guys. We also have a few treasure carps in the pond here. Sparkling scale from a treasure carp. To the average person, it is just a beautiful scale. But there are some who exalt a certain master, who consider these scales among the most precious things in the world. For this reason, collecting them could be worthwhile. And that we will indeed be doing. So if we sneak over here to this location, we can sneak up and take out this monk. who seems to be overlooking a particularly large pile of deceased corpses. Now, I want to get another look at this guy. Here we go. Now, I want to take particular interest in his robes and what they look like, because there's another specific character that we will interact with later on in this episode whom seems to have connections to the temple. Over here we find, yet again, another large pile of corpses, seemingly tossed through a window in disposal. We're going to take a gaijin sugar to be a little more stealthy through this area. And we're going to stealth kill Senpo Assassin on the top. Here we go. Now we are going to progress for now, and we will return to this area later on in the episode. We find more Jizu statues, as well as what appears to be some sort of funeral pyre. We're going to take another gaijin sugar. Ooh. Wow. I definitely should have just assassinated that guy. I don't know why I did that to me. Oh. That's not what I wanted to do. There we go. There we are. Essentially, once this one gets pretty close, we're going to land on that one, Blood Smoke Ninjutsu, and then take them both out. Or not. Whatever. This works too. Now, they appear to be almost some sort of doctor in a sense, as they have their faces covered, and they also have the prayer beads around that as well. Oh, what are you doing? Oh, flipping my ass over, that's what he's doing. That's hilarious. Alright, we're gonna take a sugar, or we're gonna use Gaijin Spirit Fall, rather. That did not work the way I wanted it to at all. But that's okay. Okay. This will work to my advantage because now I can sneak up on these guys and execute them. The joys of doing these live. Alright. Now as you can see, these guys... Now I died here, but that's very interesting because these guys are not part of the temple. You cannot spirit them away. Okay. So I am just gonna get us back to where we were here. Because again, this isn't really a guide on how to get through this area. Although you could technically follow this as a guide. But this is more so a Lorethrough. This is a shortcut up here. Those who were wondering. And actually, sure, you know what? I forgot about this. If we come down over this direction, there's actually a really sneaky hidden boss over here. But if you drop down to this pagoda, then drop down again, you'll find this. Which is a boss fight. If you remember these enemies from before, this one is a lot larger. And we are going to clear out these guys on top. Basically just hide, and as you can see there is another way for you to get in here. But if you approach from the roof, like I'm doing, you will be able to get an assassination on this guy. I'm going to switch to Suzaku's umbrella, and I'm going to switch to the puppeteer ninjutsu. Alright. As long as this goes according to plan, it shouldn't be too bad. Now he also throws them, so you gotta watch out for that. But I think that is the only other one in his boss arena. Oh, there's one more, I lied. Alright. I messed that up. Okay. Get a really good look at his crazy eyes in that. Alright. There we go. Unfortunately, he fades away. We can't get a better look at him. But his tiny versions do not. So we can get a little bit of a look at them. Now, the way the things on their body, I'm assuming these are fire bombs, but the way the spikes are on their body is seemingly to mimic centipedes. But these characters are not undying themselves. They die quite normally and they're not infested in that way. However, if we look around this area, we can find monks in that form of mummification that we mentioned earlier, and if we look on the floor around them, what do we find? We find centipedes and beetles. Both of them are alive and both of them are dead. So there's living ones and dead ones kind of crawling all over the ground here, and they're actually all over the ground where these mummies are. So you might not notice these upon first inspection, but there's a lot of them. They're everywhere. There's piles of them. And they're actually climbing up and eating the wood even to some extent. Now, obviously stagnation and the dragon rot is a very large theme in Sekiro. But it also ties into the Japanese belief of Kagari. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, but it's essentially the impurity that comes from stagnation, specifically and especially stagnant waters. So very thematic to the purification waters of this game. So now that we've taken out that boss, we can now progress up to the next area. Oh, that was a lot of wolves. Oh, what? A spirit balloon, huh? Alright. Let me just run away from all these wolves. Well, it's like the shortcut back up the mountainside here, but that was excessive, I think. In my honest opinion. Alright. Let's get back up at the top here. And then this time, this should go a little better. Yes, thank you. Alright, he's down. That's perfect. Now you'll also notice as well, I mentioned it in my blind Lorethrough, I'm gonna mention it here again, of course, is the fact that the left eye of these monks is actually dead or dying and is slowly fading. Alright, so we're gonna take a spirit fall here. And this time we're gonna be a lot stealthier. Oh, puppeteer is not what I wanted. But you know what? That'll work. Whoa, the third one came over. Alright, we're gonna let these guys fight. Actually, we're just gonna leave. They're just a little excessive. Alright, now if we turn right, we can gain entrance to the temple here. We find more monks. These ones are moving though, of course, and trying to attack us. And we find a priest who is sitting here just praying. So we're gonna talk to him, and I will be quiet while the man talks, because this is gonna be a slightly longer dialogue.
Oi.
Just kidding.
Oi.
Odd. Normally he talks. That's weird that he doesn't want to talk to me right now anymore.
Oi.
Nothing still. Okay, well, I guess we're gonna go into the cave. Alright, now we're gonna take this little shortcut on the side here. Get the sneak attack on him. And just kind of hug the wall along here. Until we find another area we can crouch through. Once we come up here, we'll find more centipede enemies to deal with. Oof. He got me, the last one. There we go. here. We reach this pagoda. We'll be able to open it up. And we cannot actually open this, but the interesting thing here is the burnt statue here, showing the decay of the monk's beliefs. And what's interesting is it's actually the left side of the statue, just like it's the left eye of the monk that has started to decay and die. Alright. Now we will try and speak with this guy one more time.
Oi.
Still will not let us talk. What we're gonna do there we go. We'll rest. And we'll try and talk to him.
Oi.
Still nothing. Okay, then we will leave. And then we'll come back. That's not what I wanted to do. We will go back to Kuro's room really quick. Just in case there's something here that I've missed. Because I feel like that could be the issue. Oh, big stretch. Alright. Alright, now where has Kuro run off to? Right, here he is.
一心様にお会いして不死立ちの手がかりを聞いてきてほしい。この天守の外、離れの櫓で静養されておいでだ。開き窓から屋根上に出て頼んだぞ。
Okay, I already spoke to Ishin, but maybe that's what's glitching out here. Let's go talk to him one more time.
Sekiro よ、不死立ちのため何が知りたい？
不思議はいつこに？
千宝寺にあると聞く。ただ不思議は抜けぬというぞ。
抜けぬとは？
ただそう伝わっておるのよ。だが今やあの寺は門を閉ざしておる。生草どもめ、お山にこもり何をしておるかは知らぬが、まともな道などつながっておらぬのよ。
As we can see,
関路ではな。
even Ishin is rather mistrustful or untrusting, I should say, of the Senpo monks. Now, this will become important in a later episode, but take note that Kuro is actually sounding a little sick. Wolf, found something. I've opened the library. Meet me there. Kuro.
まだ埃がひどい。埃がひどいな。
戻りましてございます。
おう、戻ったか狼。一心様とは会えたか。
はい、不思議にならば鍵になりうるやもしれぬ。そう仰せでした。
不思議。
仙宝寺にある死なぬ者を切る刀とか。
なるほど。確かに流院の不死を断つことへも関係しておるやもしれぬな。
御意。
私の方は源の後期の手がかりとなりそうな書物を漁っておいたぞ。どうやらタケル様が戦況に帰るため調べられていたものだ。見つけた手がかりについて話そう。
手がかりとは。
花だな。
Alright, so we will ask him about the flower.
花とは。
まずはこれを。
Fragrant flower note. A note from Kuro written by Takeru, former heir of the dragon's heritage. It is said that relatives of Tomoe once gathered the fountainhead fragrance and arrived at the palace. You may find a key where the waters of rejuvenation converge in a deep pool. A white and deeply fragrant flower.
これは。
タケル様が残されたものだ。戦況に帰るため源の後期について調べていたのだろう。この芦名を貫く源より流れいずる水、その水が濃く溜まった場所で咲く白い花について書かれている。どうやらそれが源の効の一つであるようだ。
源の水が濃く溜まった場所。深い渓谷などでしょうか。
なるほど。ならば落ち谷かもしれぬ。あの谷には源の水も流れ込んでおるはず。
その落ち谷はいずこに。
城の裏手の林を抜けた先にあるぞ。林の奥にある白蛇のお社。言葉の通りそこから落ちたところに落ち谷はある。まともな道はつながっておらぬが、そなたならば行けるであろう。そういえばそこにある人の形が書いてある扉じゃが、一心様が忍びの抜け道と呼んでらっしゃった。どういったものか司祭はわからぬが、忍びの名がつくものだ。そなたならば使えるのではないか。
Now that shortcut will actually allow us to travel back to the temple faster, but we will also acquire the Gunfort Shrine key here. We're going to expect the incense burner, which says that it burns faintly as sakura flowers, and now we're going to talk to Emma.
一心様とも会われたようですね。
礼を言われた。源一郎殿を切ったことへ。
そうですか。源一郎殿、まさか落ちの檻を飲まれているとは。
それは何だ。
落ち水の中でも特に濃いものをそう呼びます。あなたもご覧になったでしょう。落ちの檻を口にした者は当然に死んでいるはずの斬撃に耐えるほど強靭な肉体に変貌する。あれはもともとは我が師道元が調べていたもの。調べた書も薬も焼いて捨てたと聞いていましたが、私の兄弟子たちの誰かが持ち出していたようですね。大方道中あたりか。九郎様のお考えについては。
聞いた。
して
共に不死立ちを果たそうと思う。
そうですか。
今までの助け、かたじけない。
まるで根性の別れのよう。 私は主の命も果たしましたので、この城に残ります。いつでもお声掛けください。クスシとして助けとなりましょう。白いあざならば、あるいは、
Okay. So, she mentioned someone named Dojin, who is not Dogen. But now, we're gonna quickly go back to Senpo Temple. And we're gonna go to the main hall. Excellent. Okay. Now you will notice that the monk is gone. And we can now examine the bell that is on the table.
猿が3匹、一つは空か。
So, we have run the elusive hall bell. 5-pronged bell made of aged bronze. Can be used repeatedly. When rung, monkeys and wolves alike are returned to their initial states. However, a monkey caught in the folding screen will not escape, whether the bell is rung or not. Now, that is of course our fourth monkey, who is invisible. And he is a reference to the fourth part of the legend. Of course, each monkey is representing of the see no evil, speak no evil, and hear no evil. However, there is a fourth monkey that oftentimes is neglected and is not actually included most of the time. And that is actually do no evil. And that's the monkey that we just defeated. Now, he will normally patrol and follow you around the entire arena while you're chasing the other monkeys around. But he also summons all the terror monkeys. So, a neat little trick is when you spawn, as long as you don't move, and you spin your camera around and walk to the spot, you can kill the monkey right away. But there's a monk here that we can actually interact with.
そなたもこの元老に迷い込まれましたか。そして使命を持ちここを出たがっている。ああ、それならば屏風に書かれた猿たちを捕まえなされ。さすれば巫女様のお声がかかりましょうや。ああ、私は元老を出たいとは思いません。ここは大抵静かですし、ある意味仏様の悟りに近しい、そんな風に感じるのです。ああ、そういえばかつてあなたと同じく使命ある者がおりました。しばらく猿たちを追いかけていたと思いますが、いつか静かになりました。そなたが猿たちを捕まえられるよう願っていますよ。
Now, the other man whom he speaks of, whom was also on a mission, is actually, at least I believe, to be Genichiro. As we know, Genichiro is also seeking something rather important. Now, this realm is divine, as we've mentioned before. The divine child can reach this location, as the monk told us. Alright, now see no evil. Or sorry, hear no evil. My apologies, has been defeated. And now we just need to find speak no evil. And see no evil. Deafening bell. The bell is deafening. Ringing it recklessly will also make your ears ring. But we've already defeated the hearing monkey. We need to do the speaking monkey and the seeing monkey. Alright, now you will inevitably get certain monkeys as these spirits. But there is some lore to that, and it will tie in after we speak to a specific character later on. Now, the amount of monkeys that you get is akin to the amount of monkeys you defeated already. Oh, he's just bringing a gun. Okay. That was really unnecessary of you. Alright, we're just gonna sneak up on this guy. I thought he was doing a lot more than that. I mean, it makes sense. They kind of work in tandem, right? Because this one would ring the bell and alert the one who can hear you really well. And then that one would, again, be alerted to the one who could see well, so it would just kind of all go downhill from there. There goes our gong monkey. We're gonna head over this direction, and we are gonna take our purple gourd. We're gonna switch to our lilac umbrella. Not what I wanted to do. There we go. Alright. Now I believe the one that I can see really well is down here right now. So if we go all the way around. Maybe he's not. Oh, I call baloney. I don't care. That guy should be dead. Alright, I'll try this out. Of course a bunch of those monkeys hit the spawn in right as I got up here to this guy. That somehow worked out. We'll take it. Okay. Okay. That was just ridiculous. Now, as I was trying to say originally, this area, I believe, is actually a divine, part of the divine realm, so to speak. Oh, I remember this guy now. I remember him now. I remember why he's so irritating. Right, I remember now. Alright, basically once you come up here, you have to sneak all the way around. Like this, because once he jumps up here, he actually turns around. See? So you need to come around this way. Now, there's another way to actually properly kill him, but there's a sneakier way slash fast way to kill all 4 of these monkeys. And I've shown you how to do all 4 of those ways.
許しください。あの子たちはただ私を守ろうとしてくれただけ。なれどそれは叶わぬようです。目を閉じてください。奥の院にて終わりいたしましょう。
That's something I mentioned in my blind Lorethrough, but bells and chimes are always connected to the divine and the cosmic in From Software games. Memory of the Screen Monkeys. The folding screen monkeys guarded the Hall of Illusions and befriended the divine child of rejuvenation. So now we'll enhance our attack power. And we will go speak to the divine child.
何故参られたのですか。
不思議を求めに。
抜けぬ刀とご存知か。
ああ。
抜けぬとは抜いて帰った者がおらぬということ。それでも試されるのですか。
抜こう。
そうですか。わかりました。覚悟が終わりならば改められよ。なぜ皆死をいとわぬのですか。あなたは一体。その右目、流因の呪いを受けているのですね。
不思議り。確かに。もらい受けた。
It's easily one of my favorite cutscenes in the whole game. Mortal Draw. A combat art using the Mortal Blade costs spirit emblems to use. With the flash of a sword, the blade slashes through enemies, leaving a reddish-black noxious mist. The seeping mist extends the range of the blade. A technique using the blade that cannot be drawn is a feat only the Oathbound of the Dragon Heir, or, my bad, of the Divine Heir could achieve. And we receive the actual sword itself. An Odachi capable of slaying the Undying. Its crimson blade will take the life of any who dare draw it. Without the power of resurrection, one could not hope to wield this weapon, which allows one to defeat even infested beings. Long concealed within Senpo Temple, the blade is inscribed with its true name, Gracious Gift of Tears.
あなたは流因の巫女に仕えるお方なのですね。
おう。
何故不思議りを求めるのですか。
戦況に竜の涙を手に入れ、不死立ちを果たすために。
なるほど。 読んだことがあります。流飲を断つ術があると。つまり巫女は流飲を厭われておいでなのですね。
そうだ。
巡り合わせとはいいなものですね。私は越智の巫女たちの一人、死なずの愚道者たちが作り上げた偽りの流飲を持つものです。
巫女たちとは？
まともに育ったのは私だけ。他の皆はここに眠っています。
そうか。
不死を断つことが正しいのかは分かりません。なれど流飲が人の生き方を歪める、それを憎むのは私も同じ。巫女の忍びよ、私もあなたの一女となりましょう。お手を。
なんだ？
北条を。
So she's going to give us some rice as well. Rice that's spilled from the palms of the child of rejuvenation gradually recovers vitality for a time. Even in falsehood, the power of the dragon's blood brings a bountiful harvest. Rice is precious. The flavor grows richer with each bite and is sure to raise one's spirits.
これは米か？
はい、お米は大事と存じます。噛めば噛むほど甘くなり、元気も出ましょう。
Okay, so it's important here now to kind of wrap things up because this is kind of the end of Senpo Temple, so to speak, but the Divine Child essentially confirms some things that we can now speak about. So, we know that the sugars were distributed by monks and by the Senpo assassins. Children were used in the rejuvenating water experiments. And with the fact that it is specifically candy that's distributed, it's stated these are candies. Sugar candy. And while they do give you abilities, they are candy. And candy generally is something children consume. So essentially, these small childlike men would kidnap children using these candies to lure them in, and the Senpo Temple did horrid experiments on them. Now, there's also a common belief / theory that pregnant women were abducted by the temple as well. However, from what I can find, there doesn't really seem to be any real evidence that states this. But there's definitely a lot of evidence that children were abducted and used. Now, I believe the adult bodies we find around the temple grounds were used essentially as breeding grounds for the centipedes themselves. Now, the next area we will be doing is the Sunken Valley, which will kind of be like a part 2 to this. And I will be streaming that tonight in a couple hours. But I am getting hungry. It's 7 p.m. my time right now. And unfortunately, we have to leave it on a somber note there, talking about children being abducted and having experiments done on them. But that is kind of the segue to lead into the next episode, which will be the gun fort and the sunken valley. So thank you all for tuning in and joining me on this somewhat special episode, as I got to talk a little bit more so about the lore than I normally get to. And I also got to bring in some of my knowledge that I actually have that actually applied to the area. So I hope you all enjoyed that, and there will be more of that in the next episode and following episodes as I get a little bit better at this. So again, thank you all for joining me, and I will see you all in a couple hours as we delve into the Ashina depths and the Sunken Valley. I'm the King in Red, otherwise known as the Primal Chaos on YouTube, and I will see you all next time. Have a good one.